1951, and it's only been 1 year since the last general election, but circumstances have forced Clement Attlee's Labour government to go to the country for a general election.
In the debate, there's no need for the honourable member for Dewsbury to chunt a ahoy there from a sedentary position. Very eccentric behaviour.
Right, so at the last election in 1950, the Labour Party had only won a 3-seat majority, and this had made their government precarious. And this situation was made worse due to the poor health of several senior figures, including Hugh Dalton, who had held several senior cabinet posts, John Strachey, the War Minister, and even the Foreign Secretary, Ernest Bevin, dying in office. This situation had also been made worse by a cabinet split over imposing charges on the NHS for false teeth and glasses to rearm for the Korean War. This had caused a split in the Labour Party, when Aaron Bevan, then Labour Minister, but most famous for creation as the NHS, as well as President of the Board of Trade and future Prime Minister Harold Wilson, resigned over the issue. This, combined with a small parliamentary majority, had made the King ask Attlee to call an early election due to fears that the government would fall while the King was on the other side of the world for his tour of the Commonwealth. The Conservatives, compared to Labour, were in much better condition. They had been revitalised by the 1950 intake of MPs, and of course Churchill remained leader, and appeared to have had his political fire fuelled by the 1950 election. So overall, the party was looking strong going into this election. However, one party that had definitely not been revived by the last election was the Liberals, who after the 1950 result were unable to get another insurance agreement for their lost deposits, meaning they would only be able to field 109 candidates, making it impossible for them to win a similar vote proportion to their 1950 result, but possibly hold their seats. The country went to the polls on the 25th of October, with 313 seats needed for majority in the new Parliament. And the results are a Conservative majority of 9 over all other parties, with 321 seats, an increase of 23 seats from the last election, with 48.8% of the national popular vote, with most of their new seats being won in Lancashire and South East England, due to an increased vote share among working class men. Labour, by comparison, only won 295 seats, losing a net total of 20 seats, with a vote share of 48.8%, actually increasing their vote share on 1950, but losing seats in the process. In fact, this would actually be the highest popular vote share won by any party until 1992. However, due to how concentrated the Labour vote was in safe seats, this was mostly wasted. However, the worst result was clearly won by the Liberals, dropping 22.5% of the national vote, down from 6.6% at the last election, and losing yet another 3 seats, the worst result the party would ever receive in terms of both seats and vote share. There was one interesting thing to note about the Liberals this time, though. After the election, Churchill made an offer to Liberal leader Clement Davies, in which the Liberals would support a Conservative government and Davies would become Secretary of State for Education. However, he refused the deal, saving Britain from effectively becoming a two-party system. So if you've never liked the Lib Dems, at least that's something you can thank them for. There's a story that before this election, Attlee said a split in the cabinet would mean a decade in opposition, and this would be proved true, as this election would mark the start of a Conservative era in British politics that would last until the 1960s. So I'll see you again in 1955 for the next election.